it seemed like everybody want to be a boss these days. Everybody want to be a boss till it's time to pay out, you feel me? Till it's time to pay that boss cost. They ain't trying to have them tough conversations. Ain't trying to put in them extra hours, catching that windfall money, dealing with folks not being consistent. Don't get me started on the lack of sleep, but you know what they say.
Boss Life, BOSSFEST, the Boss Fest podcast. Each and every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, guaranteed to get you right. BOSSFEST, the Boss Fest podcast. They might make you laugh, make you mad, make you cry. Either way it go, it's a vibe. Tune in, catch the topic, get the tea. Ain't no shallow waters over here, we get deep. You sensitive, easy to offend, you need to flee. But them tough conversations gonna be happening. Boss Fest podcast, they hold it down. Wednesday, 7 Eastern, man, it's going down. Tell a friend to tell a friend and y'all gather round. Get active in the comments, don't get lost in the crowd. Hey, what's happening? It's your man DJ Bush. I had to show love to Kevin and Edwina Boss Fest Butler. Y'all know what time it is. The Boss Fest podcast. But you already know what we live in. Boss Life. BOSSFEST, the Boss Fest podcast. Each and every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, guaranteed to get you right.
Hello. Happy Thursday to you all. I'm hoping everybody can hear me well. I am bringing the Boss Fest podcast to you guys on a special night, on a Thursday night, because yesterday's podcast was just so powerful. If you missed yesterday's podcast, we were talking about your why in business, but we really went from your why to like your why in life. And it was just a very powerful conversation. So I said, let's do it again. And I am calling the Black women to the stage tonight. I am having a conversation with some very powerful Black women, and we want to talk about what it means and how it feels to be a Black woman in today's culture. After getting the results of the election, there has definitely been a lot of chatter on social media. There have been a lot of things going on, and I want to check in with my sisters. And so tonight we are going to have an unfiltered conversation with Black women and how we are feeling in today's environment. So I'm bringing some very amazing I'm bringing some amazing women to the stage today. So I'm going to have my producer, because that's what Kevin is calling himself tonight, help me out with this. And then I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves. And then we are going to get started on this conversation because I feel like it's going to be a powerful one. So Kevin, if you can bring everyone to the stage, and as you bring them to the stage, I will have them introduce themselves. To the, what do you call that? The highlight, the forefront, produce them to the middle so that they can introduce themselves. There we go. So Jasmar, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Jasmar Bennett, mother, educational leader, host of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast, which we are celebrating our 3-year podcast anniversary live show this Saturday from noon to 5 p.m. at the Lakeland Well. So get your tickets on eventbrite.com if you haven't done so already. And so I'm happy to be here. Hey, y'all.
Thank you. All right, Simone, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Simone. I'm an advocate in the myself. I'm the co-founder of the Cultural Collective Society that bought you the Black Market. That will be coming up in February. We have already dropped the vendor application, so make sure you tap in for that. But yes, very happy to be here as a Black woman today.
Thank you. It's like a little delay.
I'm the only person you can't see. Can y'all see?
We definitely can't see you, sis. All right, so Lady Lapel, can you introduce yourself?
So I believe there's a delay. I'm trying to work on my video, y'all, so just bear with me. but I am Sierra. I go by Layla Lapel. Um,
You was done talking. We just can't hear
oh,
you.
okay, you couldn't hear me. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch it up. But yes, I am a Lakeland native, um, and I'm a advocate, um, a speaker, and a woman in corporate America.
All right. I want to thank you, ladies, for joining me tonight for tonight's special episode. And for those of you that are tuning in, passing by, joining in on the conversation, please share the podcast, like it, tag a woman that you feel like should be involved in tonight's conversation. And I am really just going to kick off the conversation with just I guess, a statement and going into a question. So this statement was made, and it goes back to Malcolm X, and it says that the Black woman is the most disrespected woman in America. And I want to know what your thoughts are regarding that statement. So
I
I see
mean,
Jasmine shaking her head.
I don't think it's a statement.
I think it's true.
I don't think it's a statement. I think it's a fact, and it's been proven time and time again.
Agreed. I would
I
definitely
totally agree.
agree with that. I would say even in Black women expressing our own issues, like we can't even get support from sometimes our own white counterparts or women. We can't even get support from just other people in general. We're alone in a fight by ourselves. And like we always have to
Hmm.
fight. There's nobody else.
I also think like
And I think another
the
thing I struggle with is our own people hate to see us succeed. Our own sisters, and that's my biggest issue with the non-support that Black women get.
So you bring up a very good
That's on the
point,
top of my
Lady
list.
Lapel. So I'm gonna let Jasmine finish her statement because that's actually where we're going to jump into
I'm
next.
sorry,
So hold
Jasmine.
that thought. Hold that thought. Jasmine, what were you gonna say?
no, I was just gonna it was basically just chiming in on what had already been stated, just going off of the quote that you stated that we say that we are living. And when we talk about that protection being, so when we're not protected, like even the way that we show up in the form that we show up in our natural state, and sometimes that natural state is not even seen and respected like it would be with our counterparts. There's always these other adjectives that are attributed to how we respond to things, aggressive and instead of assertive and all of these other negative connotations, and so it just makes it hard just living and showing up sometimes.
Hello.
I made it
Oh,
on.
look.
Hey,
I'm
I
saying hello
forgot.
to you, Jasmine,
Good.
and we
Can y'all see my?
finally got
You're right.
Lady Lapel on
I
the
made
video. Okay.
it. I finally got me on the. Girl, I was struggling. Don't worry about the picture. It was in the light about 2 years ago. Don't worry about it. It's me.
It's the technical difficulty for me. All right, y'all. We got our life together.
Yes.
So it sounds like collectively we
Period.
agree with that statement. And what I want to say is like I work in corporate America. Most people know that. Um, and every day I feel like I have to work twice as hard as my counterparts. I have to show up. Um, and you always have to be strong. Like when there is, let's say, a promotion or something and you're overlooked, you got to be the strong person, even though you're doing the job sometimes of two people and you kind of already know, like, hey, this isn't going to be the position or the promotion for me because you're used to being overlooked. And I'll bring it to the election results. For me, in this moment, I really felt like, are we going to see something different? And when it didn't turn out to be different, what I felt was, of course, this is how it goes. because a black woman is never qualified, even though she can be 15 times more qualified than the person she's up against and deserve it so much more. Why does it have to always be that way? And I've seen that in my life. And so I said, like, I want to have a conversation with black women because I know I'm not the only one that goes through these trials and tribulations. I think we all know what it feels like to show up all the time and get let down constantly and feel like I don't even have time to mourn what this feels like. I got to get back up and keep going and dust myself off and still pretend like I'm strong and not beaten down by what this is, because black women can't be weak. And so I wanted to bring us together and I want to talk about that. So have you guys experienced something similar to
that. Absolutely. Even now, so right now I work in corporate America as a nurse. I'm the more senior, they're the longer have the most tenure there. But I'm the only black on the team. But I'm expected to step up. I'm not being paid to be a supervisor. I'm not paid to be in leadership. I'm not paid to lead this team. But that's their expectation from me, is to just take control. Because there are people with better credentials, I would say a pharmacist, who could take this role. But no, they want me to have, I guess, this pressure. And I just feel like I'm not being paid for this. I don't have a title. I don't have the compensation. So why do I have these expectations, but you don't expect this of any of my other counterparts? So yeah, I get that all the time. But I feel like too, as a black woman, we work 10 times harder. Um, we are some workers. So I think that can sometimes work against us as well in this whole corporate environment too sometimes.
I agree with that. I feel like we work 10 times harder
Um,
because we feel like we have to.
yeah, and I think there's a bad connotation or a stigma that people in general put on black women, right? As if the only thing we can do is cook and clean and twerk. Like we're not that smart, right? We're not that good enough. Um, a lot of times we're good enough behind doors, but we don't have the presence, right? The features, the lighter skin, and the straighter hair to put us in a certain room. Um, so when I personally think when we make adjustments to our environments, we're considered a sellout. It's not considered an upgrade. So we're always going to be considered the lesser counterpart until somebody actually says different. And that would be society,
You know what, and I want to chime in on
unfortunately.
that. Because the profession, that I am in, it lends itself more so to working more along the lines with more women. And so for a time, you weren't necessarily seeing a lot of women when it came to leading schools. Um, and even the men that led schools, they really weren't academic leaders, but they were like your coaches. Like you would be used to seeing like a coach that would venture out into leadership. But not even um it's not even all the time the men. It's 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 females that don't look like us that are intimidated. And that's what truly hurts, because it's like, you should know my plight as a female. And then for you to act in a certain way towards me as your sister, like that doesn't sit well with me at all. So we catch it from every angle.
I agree. And that's so like I'll use that to segue into the next question, and Sierra kind of touched on that too. I want to talk about black women supporting black women. And then we can even go into like women in general. Do you feel supported by your sisters?
I will say
No.
the circle that I'm in, I do support it by my sisters. And the people that I found myself just even making connections with, Jasmar, Edwina. I can literally tell y'all, hey, we got something we coming up with next week. Y'all showing up, or you gonna figure it out, or hey, you know, I can't make it this time. Let me know the next time. So my circle, I feel like my circle is very supportive. Some of the executives of my circles are very supportive. So I will say they supported by Black women.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jasmine, you had a different view.
I mean, I agree with that. If you have a circle.
If you have, yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No. You were good because that's what I was gonna say. It depends on the circle that you're. It depends on the circle that you're in, and I think sometimes um people think that joining, different organizations or being a part of different groups, leadership groups, or whatever the case may be. I think it's a rude awakening when you go and you search for sisterhood in new places. It's hard. But you have to be around like-minded women. And it just like if you have a circle that you've built up over the years, then yes. But then sometimes I don't know, sometimes I go in and out of that. Sometimes I feel supported, and then sometimes I don't. And I don't necessarily know the root of that.
So I want to back up or say I agree with what you're saying, Jasmine, because I've been in circles with Black women, and I've like when you enter the circle, let's say it feels like support,
Right.
and then by the time like you I don't know, like let's call it an awakening, I realized that that wasn't what support is at all.
Yeah.
And I've talked on like previous podcasts, and I said I find it hard to really understand what real support looks like, because it gets packaged so well sometimes, and then it ends up being just hate. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
sometimes when hate comes at you, it looks like support. So I find it hard to find the circle of women that like completely wholeheartedly support you and like, hey sis, I got you. And I try to be that for other women. And I realize in trying to be that, I've been in a lot of situations where I've been looked at as the villain in that situation, when all I was trying to be was the supportive person. And I don't know how in our community, our community of women, how we change that narrative. So I'd love to have a community like what Simone's saying, where, hey, I know I can call on, my sisters and say, I know they got me. I'm doing this and they're going to show up. I can't say that I 100% feel that.
Yeah. When I think about it, like when you go back to that quote, even the Malcolm X quote, when it comes to um feeling protected, I think as we grow and as we morph into ourselves, our needs change. And I think we have to be in groups where we are able to be vulnerable and express exactly what we need. You know what I mean? Like what is it that we need? Like what does support look like for you? I think sometimes you have to really define for others what that looks like. And I think, you find your tribe, you find your circle when they don't feel that you're asking for too much. Because sometimes, so I'm going to use an example of what a therapist that was on my show stated. She used a bullseye, and she just stated, you continue to put people where they belong on your bullseye. Like your bullseye are those people that just really rock with you. You can call on them at any time of the day. They're going to drop anything for you. Those are the people that are in your bullseye. And it's like, as you get farther and farther away from that bullseye, it just teaches you where to place people and just keep them in their position. And so, like, ever since she said that, it's like I've been like really, really contemplating and really thinking about that. And when it comes to that supportive measure, it's like if I literally express to you what support feels like and looks like for me, and you don't rise up to that expectation, that just that takes you out of my bullseye, and it just puts you further away from it.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, so I guess if I can even dive a little deeper into us talking about Black women supporting each other, sometimes I feel like we're in competition with each other.
Yeah.
And
Edwina, let me just add, and sometimes we won't admit it because because when we admit it, it makes us look so small. But if people really, really, really like really self-reflected, they would realize that's what they're doing. But it's like some people can't even admit it though.
I think
So go ahead.
as you get older, go ahead. I think as we
No,
get
no, no.
older,
Go
we
ahead. I want to
start
hear
to
this.
get that
Okay.
discernment, right? You start oh I said as we get older, you start to get that discernment. You start to feel people's spirit out. You can tell when someone's for you eventually or when they're not for you. As for women, I feel like if you are competing with me personally, because I know my personality, right? And I know my spirit, all right, then you have an issue. It's not me. You're bothered. You don't know who you are. You are not confident. And that's not my problem. So I don't have to put myself around it. I don't understand why Black people think or Black women have to compete against each other. Must be what you have, but we're two different people. You find your lane and you get into it. I think it's very disgusting on how Black women tend to tear each other down. Um, and I really think that because the people are shallow. You don't know who you are. Because if you knew what you was and who you were and what you stood for, could nothing rock you.
Yeah.
Agree. So I'm gonna go to Simone and see like what your thoughts on are um as far as Black women competing with each other.
I don't know. Like, I was really just thinking about the whole thing about competing, but I don't know. I guess I just don't really focus on the competition. That's just
Okay.
not. I just I don't know. For me, that's just not something I really want to think about because it's just a negative thought process, and that's on Black women and Black people in general. And I've always been the kind of person to be like, I don't want to think negatively, but I don't want to take away the fact that it does happen. I just don't want to dwell on the fact that it is if that even makes sense. I'm trying to gather my thoughts on it, but it's like I don't want to dwell on the whole negative aspect of, yes, there could be somebody out there trying to compete with me, but it's fine. Just, let that be. I don't want to think about the negative aspect of Black people. I hate it. I honestly hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a gem that you just dropped in itself about like not focusing on the negative. Because I mean, in a moment of transparency, I find it hard to not do that. And with my next question, I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room. So, like, we just found out who the next president of the United States will be. And I think a lot of Black women had their hopes on Kamala actually being a different, almost like a victory that maybe we've never even seen in ourselves. So after hearing that Trump will now be the next same president, like whatever, how did you feel after hearing the results of the election?
Um, I was devastated, still is. Actually, a little depressed, kind of cried a little bit. Um, I will say that now that President elect is number 47, I'm going to respect the seat. You know, with that being said, if he fails, the country fails, and that's a problem for me because I live here. Um, and that's it. My thing with the whole Kamala, I hope I say her name right. Yes,
Kamala.
I was looking forward to that because I believed. Thank you. Because in my mind, I believe that something different is going to happen for us, and I don't mean as Black women, just women in general. Okay, because I feel like she stood for all women, and I respected that. Um, and I wanted to see a shift. I wanted to see a change. I wanted to believe that we live in America, and then they believe in women. And it just rubbed me the wrong way with Trump being president. For someone who is a convicted felon, a rapist, and when someone who's known to abuse women, I personally feel like, how does his victims feel? And there are many victims that are like that. And if we praise somebody like this to lead us, um, that to me, that leaves no hope for women. So first you take our rights away, and now we technically we're not going to have a voice eventually. Because we got somebody like this that pretty much likes to ramble and bully and just say nasty things, and that's not something that I want to praise or something that I want to give respect to.
Yeah.
And then, to me, I find it kind of disgusting that any Black woman would go against Kamala. Please help me. Did I say Kamala?
So think about a comma and then a Kamala.
Kamala. Y'all help me. I don't want to disrespect her, but that's just me. Sometimes my Southern and my Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, VP, Miss Madam, Commander in Chief.
Listen, no, that's right.
I think it's very disturbing for any woman to disrespect her, and I've been seeing that, like any Black woman to disrespect her. No, you may not agree with her views, you may not want to vote for her, but for you as a person, as a Black woman, to disrespect her, I have zero tolerance for it, and I've been seeing it, and I've been being quiet, but that says a lot about you as an individual. And I have zero respect for that person, because you will have zero respect for me.
Absolutely. And you know what I think what really, really bothers me also is people, they try to sugarcoat their decision, based off of, don't look at it as you're voting for a person, you're voting for policy. You're not voting for the person, you're voting for policy. And what other sector does that work for? Because if I go to a corporation and I see that my boss is the biggest, arrogant, uneducated, unqualified person, why do I even want to work with him? What do I feel that I'm going to learn from him? So I don't even understand how we even started to even give that sort of a speech or background or preface to how we should vote to the highest position of the land. I don't understand how that became like kind of like a get out of jail free card. We're not voting for the person, we're voting for the policy. So you want to stand on, these policies when it is this person who is very influential. And the reason why he was able to be reelected is because you have some people who love his arrogance, hasn't shown a successful, sustainable business, so many bankruptcies, but you want to say that he's a businessman. Give him his just due, because he never said he was a politician. He's a businessman, but even on the business sector, his portfolio sucks. So it's like, what successful business, what he was able to do was successfully brand himself, like his name and what his brand represented for people. It was like this elitist title is what people gravitate towards. And I just think he's going to be the biggest puppet in that seat. And it's not going to be about policy. It's going to be irrational decisions that are going to be made. And they're not going to be Christian decisions that are going to be made, which all these people just feel like, oh, they just voted for these Christian principles. No, you didn't. You set us back, and it's just, it's time will tell. And there's in defeat doesn't just sit there. Sometimes there is victory in the defeat, and I'm waiting to see that. And so I was very shocked. Here's what I will say: I was not shocked, but I was extremely hurt and disappointed. I was not shocked. I was hurt. I was disappointed, because what the message that it sent to me was like, in your face, I can be a convicted felon. They still going to elect me president. In your face, on any given day, I can say whatever I want to say about a woman. I can treat a woman however I want to treat a woman, but in your face, I still got people that's going to back me. And that just minimized the power that I showed up in as a Black woman, because it's just like, are y'all serious? That is just a crazy message to me.
Jasmar, everything you said, I would literally echo, but just to pretty much say the same thing. Like, I literally was traumatized almost. Like, I feel devalued. I feel like I don't matter. Nobody cares about my rights. And that just goes all the way down to the personal level of the reproductive rights. But in addition to, like, just thinking back to the ancestors who were killed trying to vote, who had to pay a voting tax, who wouldn't even take the time out to vote, or were spreading this misinformation that your vote doesn't matter. Like, this whole thing was traumatizing, literally traumatizing.
So let me go. Let's take the trauma a little bit further. So Jasmar, I feel like that was really great. Like the in your face is, I think you speak for most of us when you say in your face. So let's talk about the Black men.
Hey,
And
Sheena.
let's talk about whether we feel supported by Black men and how you feel about the Black men that actually voted for Trump.
Which Black man we talking about? Because
So
the black men I know didn't do that. The black
Correct.
niggas is the ones that voted for Trump, and I don't deal with niggas. I'm not on the level of them. They were about $1,200 checks and how much money they can get off PPP loan. I'm not on that level. So the Black men that have respect for themselves, and Black women and women in general and their daughters, those are the ones who voted for Kamala. The other ones, I don't care about those niggas.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Don't associate myself now.
Okay, so I have a lot of agreement.
Also, some who are saying, like, you have that, and then you also have a sector of what some people are calling Uncle Toms who voted for him too. Like, I just saw a prominent figure on IG, and I meant to record his name down today, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even think you thought
Don't
that.
hurt our heart now. You gonna put the name out there or what? But
I can't even remember. But he made the statement, and so I'm a person who I really like to go off of facts. Like, I really like to really try to do my research. But his whole statement was, but people ate him up in the comments. But at the end of the day, he made the statement, and he's doing well for himself. He helps people with financial literacy, building wealth and all this other great stuff. But he made the statement that, little do people of color know that people of color respond better to a president who's a Republican in the seat. And people were just like, what? He was just like, the practices that Republicans have, you fare better in the economy, you fare better with policy when there's a Republican in the seat. And I was just like, no, how do you even equate that? What's your rationale for that? Because where can you show me where we literally financially were better under a Republican regime? Like, I don't see it for myself.
so I've heard that where people say that the Republican policies actually do benefit more, especially when you're talking about financial, because Democrats almost are like they care too much, so they're more giving, as where Republicans are really trying to like help people build wealth, let's say. And I've never, to just put this out there, have like cared mostly about people's views, whether you're Republican or you're Democrat. I haven't cared, but this election to me was way more than that. This was racial. This was sexist. This was my rights on the line. I felt like in this election, and I've been voting since I was 18, but this election really felt like a fight for our freedom for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I see things like, yes, traditionally, historically, those principles are very valid and true. But if you cannot show me a substantial percentage of African Americans who have benefited financially because of that, that's a problem for me. When we still have disparities when it comes to getting mortgages, getting loans, all of these other principles, you were talking about these financial, institutions and these financial sectors, but what percentage of African Americans truly do benefit from it? Because you can be above middle class, and you still run into the hassle of not getting a loan for a small business, of not getting a particular mortgage. Like, that's a problem. That's a very huge problem. So you can't treat this guy as if he's going to be the great equalizer, because he is not. He doesn't give a damn about you. Like, he's only trying to make the richer. I mean, if you really looked at the people that were behind him, like your Grant Cardones, and so shocked that Joe Rogan, was on his platform, that endorsed him. But it's like, these people, Elon Musk, they said that Elon Musk was the person that really like got him over the edge. Like, Elon Musk, like his wealth even elevated to like 12 point something billion now after Trump was in office. So it's just like, these are the people who he cares about. He doesn't care about you. Like, what makes you think that he really cares about you? Like Lady LaPel said, because he gave you a $1,200 check, that in essence is going to put our country in a deficit. And then he's going to blame it.
And that's what people forget.
He's going to blame it on the
and that's what. And then to break it down to the Yellow Book for Dummies.
No, that's right.
You think about it. You think about when there's a hurricane in the state of Florida, right? The tolls are free, right?
Yeah.
Then when they open back the tolls, it goes up, right? They're going to get that money back. And the rule of thumb is, in the economy, and when it comes to economics, any exchange of hand, any money that exchanged from hand to hand is going to get taxed regardless. So understand, your $1,200 is now costing us $8 in eggs. And everyone wants to talk about how the economy was better when Trump was in office, but understand who was in office before Trump. When things are put in place, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a couple years, or it could take a year. So we had the pandemic, right? It was nothing much for us to do. Where were we going, right? Then we get this money. Now we get this money. Trump is gone. Now everybody's complaining about inflation. What do you think was going to happen? The economy is possibly going to get better because of Trump. Remember the bills and the acts that Biden has already put in place that's going to take place while Trump is in office. If he proceeds to act on those, you're going to see some type of residual from that. Okay. But if Trump does what he said he's going to do, we might end up back more in debt, if that makes sense.
And it does. And people, and like, so, you have Lamar and you have Marshina, who just commented that he didn't give us no check. And that's absolutely right. But the people who don't know that, they think that he did it. So yeah, we know it's the U.S. Treasury year. We know that it's U.S. Congress, like it occurred in 2018 to boost the economy off of what we were going through. Like we do know that it was the Economic Stimulus Act of 2008. Like, we do know that. But if you don't know politics and if you don't know government, you're going to attribute everything to the president. And so on the flip side of that, if we want to dig and we want to dive into all of these issues, okay, your president was just Joe Biden. So what is he getting accredited for that he did not do as well? So we got to look at it in both realms. And so yes, Lamar, and also yes, Marshina, you guys were absolutely right. But like Lady LaPel said to the Yellow Book dummies, like the dummy book, the yellow, it's like, no, you think that your president did that. If you don't understand, I'm just a bill. Like, if you ain't take your economics class, you weren't paying attention in elementary, you don't necessarily know how all of this stuff works. And you do a trick. Oh, Trump is going to get this for us. Trump is going to do it. No, he's not. He does not make the decisions. And also, what we also have to remember too, and I'm just going to piggyback off of something that the Breakfast Club said this morning, and also piggyback off of something that was brought up in yesterday's podcast. We get into these battles with how people voted, and we get into these battles with the different stances that people take, whereas people who actually work at the Capitol, they are at work. They went to work today, and their job is to work together. Their job, they walk past each other every day. They're co-workers. So they already know how to work together. So it's just like when people say, we think about this in the wrong way, when it's like it's all rigged, or you all, like however you may say it. But I just feel like that doesn't necessarily give a a great representation or a true representation when you just feel like it's just all rigged, because I don't necessarily think that, but it's just like these people going back to work, these people going back to Congress, these people are going back to the Senate, and they're going to do their regular job, sitting right next to the people that voted differently with them.
All right. So before I jump into the next question, I want to check in with Simone.
Okay, sorry, I have a cough.
And I just wanted to make sure to see if you wanted to chime in before we go on to the next topic.
No, go ahead to the next question.
Okay. I do want to read this comment. It says, I hate the BS Kamala gets as a VP, but question when any VP ever did more than the president. Now that I have never seen more than anything else. Well, you already in the White House. What have you done? It just amazes me that people even say that out of their mouth. But I'll move on because I want to talk to y'all about the culture. So in this election, I thought a lot about, and I want to ask the question correctly, but I just can't. So I want to talk about people playing in our face and playing in our culture. So I have seen a lot where people pretend to be down with Black people when it's cool to be down. But now that we've seen the results of the election, I've been able to look on social media, and some of the things that I've seen on social media as of late could come off very racist, very sexist. And these are the same people that I want to say have been playing in the faces of Black people as though I'm down, I'm cool with you, I'm whatever. And I want to know if you guys have seen the same thing. And if so, how do you feel about it?
Okay, I'll say something because I don't really have a filter.
So no filter.
No, because who gonna check me?
Okay.
So I do want to say something about one person in particular. I have nothing against him personally at all. Actually, it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I've known him for a very long time, but I do not like the things he said. First of all, he just be gibberish. He sounds like Trump because you haven't proved anything. So that person is going to be from This and That podcast, Mr. Anthony Santiago Sr.
Oh, we are calling people out. When I tell you people have died over here.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I don't have issue with him voting for Trump. If you want to be what you think you aren't, that's fine. Okay, I don't know because I'm confused. My main problem, my main issue, because I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I am pro-Black. I love everyone, but I'm pro-Black because I don't feel like our Black men get enough love from us, right? And I don't feel like us females don't get enough love for us. So I'm gonna show as much love and support to any and everybody. And I just don't play the radio. I just don't like niggas. And if you act like one, then I won't be around you. And I'm gonna call you out. And if you don't like me, okay, move on.
Well, when I tell you we are all paying attention to what you're about to say, sis.
I have it. So my issue is you as a brother, you want to be you as a person, an individual that say you down for us, you be around us, you like us, all this other stuff with us. Okay, that's how it always start, us. But now you was a us. My issue is, I understand you may not like Miss VP. I get it. You might not like her policies, but you're not going to tear her down. And everybody who was up under his post, that goes for you too. Okay, because whoever want to come get it, they can have it. So my issue was, the post was, I know that Lady Happy, she don't have to act like she's Black no more. What is the purpose of making a statement about this woman's race or where her background is?
That statement on Instagram.
Okay, what is that issue? Because I'm gonna tell you right.
Well, she done group them into.
So my thing is, my dad's an immigrant from Jamaica who worked in the farms that came to America and fled the farms. My mother is not 100% American. My grandmother was Indian, but I can't get the Indian or indigenous status because I'm Black, right? So Does that not make me an American? Does that not make me black? Or is because my skin is darker, you won't say nothing to me about it? But I have an issue with that. I do. Because your ancestors were slaves too. But just because they got screwed by the British or the French and made you lighter, don't make you better.
Yeah, we just got dropped off in different
Leave
places.
our sisters alone. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, we just got dropped off. Your boat went that way, that boat went that way. That's it. Haiti was one place before the Dominicans became DR and enslaved the Haitians. Does that make them better than that because their skin is lighter? I have an issue with that. I don't have a problem with you expressing your so-called politician views that you're repeating. No, you haven't gave any type of substance to what you're saying. But making fun of someone or a black woman is a problem for me. People who are laughing, who are black, and black women who praise this person who has a platform, I have an issue with that for you as a black woman. For some reason, you don't know who you are. You don't know where you stand.
I feel like we have just come for a lot of people, and I don't even know how many it is.
And you don't have the confidence you need. I don't care what nobody say. You can say what people can say whatever they want to say about me. I don't care. The worst though, if it don't happen to me, can't nothing else happen. So nothing you can say is gonna hurt my feelings. But I'm gonna say what I gotta say. It's a factual thing. Leave our women alone. And I took that personally. I took it personally. They already took our rights. I don't need you sitting here trying to drag this woman. They got pictures of this woman digging in a pot. Oh, one day she was addressed as an Indian. So what? You claim you want to be black one day, but today you Mexican, Puerto Rican. I don't know. You lie.
I almost had to
You lie. Every time you put your you put your shoes on and you lie. Does that make you? Does that give me the right to sit here and bash you? Your nationality?
So the comment says,
before y'all come for me, make sure your spiritual game is
when
up.
they all black, especially when they act black. So before I comment on what Lady Lapel just said, because you gave us a mouthful,
they want to be us, but don't want to. They want to be us, but they don't want to go through the work that we have to be us. They want to be us, but they don't want to put in the work. Us black women, we good enough to bend over, but we're not good enough to put on your arm. That I don't want to be around you. Period.
If you can't respect me, serious.
If you can't respect me in my face or behind my back, I don't want to be associated with you, and I take that serious. If that was Obama, I would have went on him.
Yeah,
that is just it. I'm so sick of black people getting torn down.
And it's the same thing like with Obama, like when they were trying to question his ethnicity, like why do you have to downplay one race or the other? Like when you are multicultural, you are going to 9 out of 10 identify with one race over the other. And that is okay. That is who you are. But to say that she's pretending, how the hell is she pretending? You know what I'm saying? Not saying that making you go to a HBCU Howard, as a matter of fact, makes you black, because it doesn't. Not saying that makes you
saying you a great AKA
first African American sorority, in the nation makes you black, because it doesn't, because we've adopted some of our multicultural sisters as well. But what constitutes, if you have African American blood running through you, constitutes for you to not be black? I just want to understand that, because then I think you are now misappropriating what it is to be black. Because is it that you're saying she's not black because she's married to a white husband, because of the lifestyle that she lives, because of the job that she had, the position that she held? What makes her non-black? Like that's what I have an issue with. Like, who said that she wasn't walking around saying that she was black? I don't understand that. Like, where did we get that from? And that's just like, this is off topic, but that's just like some people trying to attribute the fact that, oh, Beyonce's not black, she's Italian. Where the hell did you get this from? Like, it's always like when a black woman is on top, you find some of the most ridiculous things to throw at her. And I don't understand it. And I'm gonna just say this, Sierra, while we're on people calling them out on social media, somebody that I do know that has children by an African American female, and is Puerto Rican, by the way. But he rants and raves and just called Kamala all of these negative things, and just went on a whole tirade of people who supported her. Ooh, look at what is her name? Who played Annalise in How to Get Away with Murder? Oh, what is her name?
Well, now you done said Annalise. Golly.
Listen, because I love her so much. Oh my God.
Me
I look at her
too.
page all the time. She's a great actress, but just
She
going
really
in
is.
on her features, like who thinks that she's beautiful or whatever. And I'm just sitting back looking at him like, first of all, do you
Viola Davis. Thank you, Marshina.
Viola Davis, thank you so much. Like, do you not realize that you have literally African blood running through you? Like, I literally know your cousin, and your cousin is lighter than you, and she professes her Cuban nationality and her African nationality, waves both flags, because she actually is smart and knows her heritage. But you thought it was okay, like Sierra said, was to take an African American female behind closed doors, have babies with her, and all this, but then only to turn around to play in her face. Like, who made you? Where are they making y'all? Like, how do you? And then Trump even specifically downed Puerto Rico. Like, what? How is it? Where is it that it is in you brewing that just says, I'm just above this person, and in some kind of way I've risen above anything, and now I can be on this platform and I'm talking like this? Like, I don't understand the audacious behavior that I'm seeing. Like, I'm just like, what? Well, what do you know something that I don't know? Like,
And you know,
it is a misappropriation of the culture. You want to hang
it
out in the
is.
podcast, you want to hang out in all the trap houses, you want to do all of this, but then you speaking kind of crazy on your platform. Like, who are you? Like really, who are you? Like, it makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I really don't.
So, what I wanted to add to the conversation is I'm going to go back to almost what Sierra was saying, because some of these people who are talking about Kamala's race, which you can be all of those things, we are a melting pot here in the United States, but they sometimes represent themselves as being Black or of understanding the Black culture. So if you can do it, why can't she? And that's what I don't understand. And like, to speak to like what you're saying, Jasmine, you can have kids from a Black woman, but does that make you disrespect the Black woman, like in the same sentence? And how do Black women feel when the people that they like lay next to really feel this type of way? Like, it's like the ultimate disrespect. Or am I wrong in saying that?
No, I want to say this real quick. Before I got on the show, I talked to a good friend of mine. He's white, right? Two brothers, and they voted for Trump. I really love these guys, and I asked them a serious question. Why did y'all vote for Trump? And he asked me some personal questions that he wanted to know about Black people, and I said, he said, do you think it's easier if a Black man was with a white woman? I said, yes, they're groomed for that. They groom athletes for that. And I personally said to him, I have no issues with interracial relationships. I choose not to be with a white man. And if I did, I must know who he is, his background, and his family history before I decide to do that. Because the day you even say the word end, baby, it's going to end. I'm not doing that. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for y'all to disrespect us. It's not okay for I don't know. I personally today could not date outside my race without doing a deep dive in history of who this man is. I can't sleep with the devil. I already did that before for 14 years, and I ain't doing it no more. He went white, but same Lucifer. Ain't but one.
Okay, so I'm gonna change gears. Now we know that our next president is a felon. And I want to get your opinion on the fact that now that we have a felon entering the White House, the take on black men, because it's been talks for centuries that black men, once they get out of jail, they can't even get jobs to take care of their families. And the applications now, if you have a felony, then you can't get the job. What is the take on now that there is a white person in the highest office in the land having now who is now a felon? How do you feel like that correlates with the black men who can't even survive if they're a felon? And then this comment says they dropped the comment says they dropped the charges.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to speak again because I kind of have experience.
Wait, hold on, Sierra. Simone was saying something.
No, go ahead, Simone. No, go Simone. I have a delay.
That should be a qualifier on application anymore. Being a felon, people make decisions, and it can change the whole trajectory of their life. But that doesn't mean that they're a bad person. That doesn't mean they don't have a good work ethic. So I just feel like that should not be on the job application in general. But as far as president, he shouldn't be allowed to be a president, not with 34 felonies.
Okay, Lady Lapel, go ahead.
I'll say this. Black men who have felonies and say they can't find a job, I think it's an excuse. Okay, you could find something. That's just one. And how I know that, my brother sold dope for many, many years here in Polk County. Went to prison, came back, found a job. You can find a trade. You can do something. Because if you get in the game, you got to know there's got to be some day it's going to end. So with that being said, I ain't even trying to hear all that. As far as Trump, again, no, he should not be a felon. And I think the felon, the people, some of these black men that voted for him, the joke is on you. Because if you get a felon, you will not get where he's going to go. Okay, so don't think he's going to open that door for you. With him being a felon, again, this man is a womanizer. Why is he in power? And that's what I go back to. Women his victims, voices are suppressed. These women are not going to see any type of justice for the rape, the invading my space. Who are we going to speak to? What we got going on? This man is not an example. I don't want my son looking at an orange face white man giving a blowjob to a microphone and tell him this is going to be his future.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. I'm disgusted. I'm hurt.
I think when it comes down to your question, Edwina, when you said, how does it make you feel when we see that someone is in the highest seat of the nation and they had all of these felony charges against them and all of these just all of these charges against them, and they're still able to come out on top. And I feel that it's showing us something that we already know anyway. But I also feel that when you know that the deck is stacked against you, then you have to play smarter. Like, you have to turn the game into your game. And so with what Sierra stated, I don't necessarily think that it is an excuse. I think that some men don't know how to maneuver outside of not having the job that they want versus just making a living. Because I saw Lamar when he said haircuts and all these other things, trades and all of that. Like, you got to put your pride to the side and you got to play chess and not checkers. Like, you do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And so, like, as a man, you just have to man up and do that. And so I think that in those cases, we have to be smart and we have to strategize. And I think that it takes a community of not looking down on our brothers and sisters, because we do know that some people have been unrightfully convicted and some people have been rightfully convicted, but they can change their lives around, right? And so just giving you an example, like, I did know someone who was incarcerated for a long time, had plenty of felonies, but he was changing his life around, and he did find it hard to find work. But luckily, we knew someone who knew someone that was a Black business owner that was able to take and willing to take a chance on him. And so he did that. He did construction work. That's not what he wanted to do, but it was a paycheck. He did construction work until he was able to move himself up to being a manager now at a company. So it does happen and it can happen. But again, you got to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And so I think we just have to reach back and just educate, but we got to look out for one another's because our felony will never be in the highest seat of the land, and let's just know that. But that doesn't stop a felony or a person or a felon who can now make a Fortune 100 company. Like, that doesn't stop you from doing that, because you definitely have the skill set to do it in some of these entities where you got your felony.
I will agree with that. I'll agree with that, Jasmine. You're right. It will take a community, because I'm not going to say he just my brother found a job, but he knew somebody.
Right.
The problem is a lot of times they don't get the help because, again, we Black women, we're going to talk about them because we're going to talk about how they ain't shit and all this other mess. But it's hard. I'm not gonna support nobody who talks about my VP anyway. So get it how you.
Yeah.
So before I know we're gonna start to wrap up, and I'm going to go to Jasmine, but I want to read this comment. So Wanda says Trump shouldn't have been out after being charged with felonies since others don't have a privilege. I think that Black men will never have the same rules applied to them in America after being a felon. Felons do have a hard time finding jobs, and especially not a labor job. Also finding something that can truly support your family. Typically, felons of African descent have to start their own business to be truly successful. And as I was reading it, I was just thinking about Wall Street Trapper. I don't know why, but I have heard that a lot.
Yeah.
So as we start to wrap up tonight, Jasmine, I know you said that you'd have to jump off at a certain time, so I want to respect that time. So I want to ask each of you ladies, and I'm going to start with you, Jasmine, if you leave Black women with a message from you today with how you're feeling and how you would love for Black women to move forward, what would that message be?
That message would be a message of resiliency, because we come from we come from a history of being resilient. It's in us. It's in our DNA. It's in us to be strong. It's in us to be nurturers. It's in us to make things work in any type of climate, in any type of situation. Think about all of the stories of, like, the triumphant stories, from stories of women who work for NASA, stories of women who were maids, but they really were the matron of the household. They really were the ones that were really holding families together. We come from a rich history of being resilient. We come up from a rich history of being powerful. And so in every entity that we're in, guess what? When we are hit with all of those things that come against us and that try to break us down and tear us down, what we do have is our strength, and what we do have is our resiliency. And so this is why it is so important that you don't tear down another sister. Even if you do feel that she's your competition, it is on us to uplift it is on us to uplift one another up. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, once we start leaving that crab mentality behind and we start focusing on unifying, that's where the key is. That's where the success is. And so I just want to say, we shouldn't be holding our heads down. We should not have a spirit of defeat about us, because we come from a rich history that teaches us otherwise. Because this situation, in comparison to a situation in the past, it is it's blight to me in terms of in comparisons to what our ancestors had to go through. So it is in us. I just want to just tell every sister looking at this podcast right now, it's in us. So you live up to that standard. Like you have faith, you believe in yourself, you help your community, and you just make things happen as your birthright states you will. You just keep moving and shaking. So that's what I leave you with.
I think that was amazingly powerful. So I thank you for that. And just in case you have to jump off, can you also let everyone know how they can get a ticket to the 3-year podcast event this week?
I absolutely will do that, and I'll go ahead and drop the number today. I feel like today I can drop the number. So we literally have 15 tickets left in the entire building. So there are 15 tickets left. So jump on eventbrite.com to get your tickets because we are this close to a sold out show. The 3-year podcast anniversary of the Jazzy Conversations with Jazz podcast is happening this Saturday from noon to 5 at the Lakeland Well, which is located at 114 East Parker Street here in Lakeland, Florida. And so we are having it's a celebratory event. I have a combination of live music, of live interviews from people that I've respected along my journey. DJ Ken Blaze is going to be on the ones and twos. We are going to have a dynamic, fantastic time, and you're going to see these stories of triumph through people sharing their comeback stories, raffles, vendors, food trucks. So come out and support, come out and celebrate. Tickets are available again on eventbrite.com, and I would love to see you there this Saturday, noon to 5.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So, Simone, I do feel like you've been a little quiet in our conversation today.
I have been. I have a cough, and I cough just about almost every time I talk. But Jazzmar is definitely hard to follow, but something positive to our Black women in our community. Just honestly seeing Kamala as our vice president, who should have been Madam President. Just a message just to reach for the stars. Like, we can literally be anything, continue to be positive influences in our communities, continue to be leaders, continue to be advocates for change in our community. And just know that other Black women, we love you, we respect you, we admire you, we see you. Just continue, even in the midst of all of this that's going on, even with degrading Black women in general, just continue to be a positive light in our communities. Don't go low when they go low. Okay, we want to go high. Okay, y'all. But yes, continue to do great things. Be a beacon of light for our communities. Just continue to do great things. So that's all.
Look, I need to take a line from your message because typically when they go low, then I'm like, oh, baby, I'm going to go lower. But I understand what you're saying. When they go low, we can go high. I'm going to work on that.
Same.
So, Lady Lapel, what would be the thing that you would say to Black women tonight?
Just a personal experience, how to triumph, over obstacles, right? So the one thing I always say is respect yourself, right? Know your value, know your own history, respect your culture, okay? And once you know who you are and what you stand for, you just will move differently. And just remember, as a Black woman, you are magical, right? You're different, and as long as you have God in you, if God is in you, what does that make you? And you put yourself in that type of mind frame, and you do that, and you just keep pushing. You keep moving, and understand not a soul walking this earth should be able to shake you and break you. Sometimes we got to go through the struggle, but if you never go through the struggle, you can't tell nobody else how to win. And I think that's what our Madam President was trying to do for us and did for us. And I just, be resilient, know who you are, and stand on that and be true to it.
Thank you for that.
That's all I say.
So I think you ladies definitely had some powerful words for us tonight. I actually feel like this episode could probably go on, and I really feel like it has been therapeutic for me. I want to thank you all for giving of your time tonight and actually, just sharing and being unfiltered with the Boss Fest podcast. If I had to leave Black women with anything tonight, I would say basically the same thing. Hold your head up high. Um, this is just another way that we show how resilient that we are. Let's learn from what this is, because in this is still a lesson. So many Black women came out to support one Black woman, and we can support each other in drones every single day. If we take that lesson and say, we don't have to support those who play in our face, we can support each other and uplift each other every chance we get. Let's let that be the lesson from this election. And I said last night that for 2024, 2025, I'm not allowing anyone to play in my face. And I mean that, and I stand on business. So if someone asks, why is she moving funny? Just ask me, because I'll tell you why I'm moving funny. If you think it's cool to be racial on your page, it obviously means that you need to move in a different direction. I am here to uplift and support my Black women, and I hope that you would do the same. And really, let's show America how we come together and we build and we change lives, because we now know that we have the power to do it. We showed out for Kamala, and although we have 4 years to go, I believe that we can do that again and just continue to support each other each and every day. I appreciate y'all tuning in for this special episode of the Boss Fest podcast, and we'll catch y'all next Wednesday. I appreciate y'all. Peace.